It's time once again to go racing.
The pressure is really on now.
And it's pole position.
And it's pedal to the metal. Go, go, go!
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to PSGL, where if there's one thing I can guarantee, it's that this race won't take place entirely under the safety car. It is round 3 of the top tier on the PlayStation console, and we are at the historic Spa-Francorchamps circuit for the Belgian Grand Prix. My name is Luke Etheridge, and alongside me in the commentary box, as always this season, is Mark Alimonda. Mark, how are you doing?
Well, we can't guarantee there won't be rain here, but I'm certainly guaranteeing all of you, barring anything unexpected, perhaps a meteorite will hit the studio or something like that, that we will get plenty of racing action tonight. I'm doing very well rested after my week off, and looking forward to ending my time off with a bang with another round of PSGL F1 on the PS4.
Yeah, hopefully we will get some fantastic racing, and if we do get some weather, well, at least the drivers had some practice of that last time out. You might remember from the French Grand Prix, it was dry at the start of the race, it started raining part way through, and that really put the cat amongst the pigeons. Those that started in the top 10 on the soft tyres found it very difficult indeed, so it's no surprise it was someone outside the top 10 who took the victory. Joost getting his first victory of the season, only his second in the top tier. A fantastic performance from him, and that actually is good enough now to get him up into second in the championship. It is still Blizzard who's leading, not by as much though as we might have thought. You might remember that last lap move he did on Suso last time around. He did get penalised by that. A 3-second time penalty means he is now on 19 points, just 3 ahead of Joost. Gamer, Duncan, Isma, all on 12 points at the moment. Still obviously very early days, still extremely close, and it is still extremely close in the Constructors' Championship as well, where the consistency of Duncan getting that podium last time out, and Casper, who scored points in both races, mean Mercedes have a 1-point lead in the championship over AlphaTauri and Red Bull. Alpine, the only team yet to score any points at this moment in time, and Blizzard, he got caught out by the weather, if we're being perfectly honest, last time out at France. It's a circuit he loves. It's a circuit, there was no surprise to see him on pole position, but he did have the pace in the race. Probably looked, on pure pace, the fastest driver, just strategy catching him out.
Absolutely, but that is sometimes what the weather throws up. And yeah, Blizzard, particularly in the late stint when the conditions were sort of at their worst, towards the end of the race, he showed how quick he really was recovering that position. But he still leads the championship at this point. And, if it's a slightly more normal strategy tonight, he will be one of those contenders to, get the race win tonight. But I think it's good for the championship. I think it's always good to see different race winners in the opening 2 races. And, there's enough quality in the grid to suggest that we could see a third different winner. I mean, Duncan really came back strongly last week to get that P2. So, he started on the hards at France and then really made that work when the rain came down to be one of the leading contenders. But yeah, you got to give Juice all the credit in the world, because in the opening stint, he had absolutely excellent pace on those medium tyres and took them all the way to the rain and was well deserving of the win. He was being caught rapidly by Duncan, it has to be said, at the end of the race, but he had that huge cushion once the rain came down and strategy played out to sort of nurse it home, so to speak.
Yeah, certainly. And I think what you've said there about all the different competitors we've got on the grid, how close it is shown by the fact that we've had 2 races, we've had 6 different drivers on the podium, no one's got a double podium, only 4 different drivers have managed to get points at both of the races, and that's Blizzard, Isma, Casper and Xander. There's some pretty quick names who haven't done perhaps as well as we might have expected. Midnight, for example, I know a few people were toting him to possibly battle for the championship this season. Only got 1 point. Still early days, though. And this is the track that kick-started his first season in F1. He got points here last time about, so I'm sure he'll be hoping for a good performance. Other drivers who might be hoping to do well, Xander perhaps, coming up from F2. He has scored both points both times, but only 2 ninth places so far. He'll be wanting to get towards the higher end of the points and possibly challenge for a podium.
Absolutely, but I think the one driver who stands out for me who's desperate just to sort of, steer things in a better direction is Christmas for sure. I mean, he has shown pace in quali and at times during the race, both times, but it's just have those unforced errors that have really curtailed his progress. And I would say he's easily got the pace to be top 10 on this grid. So I think if anyone he needs to prove something tonight to himself, perhaps it will be him.
Yeah, certainly, and this is a track that we know can punish unforced errors in a big way, especially through Eau Rouge and Radion Pouhon, another corner that comes to mind around this circuit. You can see we are staying in Europe for a while after Belgium. Netherlands, Italy, Britain and Austria rounded out the first 7 races of the season. China, Japan, Canada, Mexico, USA and Brazil, the rest of it. Belgium, it's a track that everyone enjoys watching, apart from maybe yesterday. A lot of the drivers love driving around, and you can always approach the setup in a different way. It's one of those. Sector 1 and Sector 3, it's all really about top-end speed. Sector 2, quite a lot of downforce through there, so drivers might be tempted to go for slightly different setups, just depending on personal preference, and maybe where they expect to qualify as well.
Yes, I mean, I personally, when I set up the car for Belgium, which is my favourite track on the current F1 calendar, I like to get away with as little downforce as possible and then try and hang on in the more technical Sector 2. Because, if you run even a little bit too much downforce, a little bit too much on the ride height, which, creates more drag on the car, you simply don't have any chance to defend on the Kemmel Straight. The Kemmel Straight is one of the most overpowered DRS zones in the dry. So if you don't have that sort of low downforce to sort of add to the battery, it doesn't matter, how good an exit you get. If the driver behind does the job of getting through Eau Rouge and Radion with a good exit, then it's going to be extremely difficult indeed to defend the position. So I think most of the drivers on this grid will be favouring not a lot of downforce on the front end of the car, and then putting quite a bit on the back. So it's going to be quite a sort of topsy-turvy front and rear downforce setup to give them that best balance. And it's going to make certain corners such as Pouhon quite treacherous indeed if they get a slight miscalculation on the turning cycle there.
Yeah, certainly, and I think that's one of the ones that we know. You hit the curve through Pouhon, it can cause plenty of problems. But let's head to the circuit, see what it is like out there. And one thing that will give everyone a relief in the early stages of this qualifying session, it is nice and dry. And if we take a look at the weather, it is going to be an overcast start to the race, but it is going to get brighter later on, possibly towards the end. Might be getting a bit overcast and a very slight chance of rain, but it is unlikely we are going to get that late on into the race, and that is obviously, that's good news for everyone. You can set the car up around here, get some nice slipstreaming done, nice overtakes with the DRS. It's a fairly straightforward strategy around here. It's a very basic one-stop. The tyres, despite there being some high-speed corners, tyres don't take a massive hammering. Yes,
I mean, we had 2 very tyre degrading tracks to start the season in Bahrain and France, but Belgium is a very different story. 70% of the lap is taken at full throttle, so apart from into Le Combe and at the end of Blanchemont into the final chicane, there's only really 2 heavy braking zones to really put massive pressure on the tyre, and a lot of the other corners, except maybe with the exception of Pouhon, are fairly gentle on the the kind of steering input you have to put in. So yeah, it's one of the easiest one-stops of the season, along with Russia if it was on the calendar. So there should be no issues for tyre wear here. And the hard tyre, it's not too bad at this particular track. It's fairly competitive, and if we get an early safety car, you could see some drivers diving in early to go put on the hards to get rid of those softs, particularly those in the top 10. But we should see, the vast majority, if there's no safety car, it's going to be a mix of the soft and medium compounds. I don't expect to see any use of the hards in an uninterrupted session.
Yeah, definitely. I think, like you said, the only chance we're going to see of anyone going on the hard tyres is perhaps an early safety car. We have got a couple of reserves tonight. Benjamin is replacing Suso in the McLaren, and we've also got Jordan replacing M. Short in the Alpine. But we have got a driver about to start on the hot lap. Isma is going to be the first one to take us around the 7-kilometre Spa-Francorchamps circuit.
I actually can't select drivers at the moment. I've got some sort of glitch, so if you just carry on and I'll try and get another one selected. I don't know what's going on. My timing screen's completely disappeared. Let me just click out that. Is there another driver who's about to start a lap?
Yeah, we've got a gamer just about to try and make himself some space. He's just coming through the bus stop chicane now in the Williams. Didn't take part last week, so he'll be hoping to get his championship back on track.
And here we go then, Gamer starting his lap there, former 2-time PSGL F1 runner-up, looking to break that up through the La Source hairpin, trying to get as tight in apex possible, a comfortable exit there, then the exciting plunge down the hill towards the iconic El Rouge and Radion complex. Not as fearsome as it was in the past in the drive of these modern F1 cars to be easy flat, and certainly is. It's pretty smooth on the exit there, then activate the DRS on the long Kemmel straight. The long from La Source to Le Combe is the longest flat out section of the track, 70% of the lap taking full throttle through Le Combe, then attacking the first curve, second curve a little bit more, then just going off the throttle into the next part of it, and then slightly steep down the hill towards Rivage. It's a very awkward corner, this one. Seems to feel like it lasts forever, but nice and smooth so far from Gamer. Then through the no-name corner. Don't want to go too wide, can risk invalidation here. And then perhaps these days in the drive, the most dangerous corner of Fuan. You want to avoid touching the curb on the inside at all costs, because it's really unbalanced the front of the car. Now into the next section of corners here. This is Spaniers. Turn 13. And then heading towards 14, Stabilo. A lot of these corners named after nearby villages of this track. Through Sector 2, Gamer goes. It's been very nice going so far from him. And then on to the other spectacular straight line speed section. That is, of course, Blanchimont. And when you see two drivers going side by side here towards the middle part of Blanchimont, that things can get very tetchy indeed. And now into what used to be known as the bus stop chicane, but which used to go left. But this is right and then left for the final chicane. Through the final corner, Gamer goes, and he's going to cross the line. And what's it going to be for Gamer? It's going to be a 1:45.05, putting him into P5, and that is a lap of Spa-Francorchamps.
Yeah, it's a very good lap as well for a Banco, a 1:40.5. Yost fastest on a moment of the 1:40.3. To give you an idea of some of the times we might be expecting, pole position in the F2 tier, which should be just about near the end of the race right now, is a 1:40.008. So we might see the drivers sneak into the 39. Well, never mind that. We might see it. We have seen it. Blizzard, 1:39.875, half a second faster than anyone else at this moment in time. We're just on board with his teammate now, Midnight, who's not doing a bad job whatsoever coming through the first couple of sectors. He is, though, about half a second off his teammate.
Well, I mean, that is an extremely strong banker from Blizzard there, at 1:39 straight off the bat. And yeah, that's a statement. Leo just popped up into P2 with a 1:41.93, so that's not too bad going. So the Alpine drivers doing a very solid job at the moment, Jordan and Leo, to get P2 and P3 as Midnight goes into P4. So yeah, Midnight, that's a solid banker for him as well, to get into the second row, but he'll be kind of looking at what Blizzard's done. I'm scratching his head a little bit. I mean, Blizzard, arguably the quickest driver on the grid at the moment, based on the first two rated, but Midnight would probably not be thinking to be that far off the pace at this stage.
Yeah, and despite the large gap that Blizzard has got at the moment, 3/10 of a second, he's actually only purple in the first sector. In the second sector, it is Leo who's doing a very good job, and George is purple in the final sector as well. Jordan in third, reserve driver for the Alpine team, did win here in season 27. It was Wilson who won here last year. You might remember the controversy on the last lap. He gave a slight little tap to Yost. Yost claimed that unsettled him. In the end, the stewards found no further action with that one, so I'm sure Yost will be hoping to put in a decent performance. Most of the drivers have done their first lap times and have returned to the pits. Will and Asacombe invalidated their first laps, and Michi's, he's going out slightly off sync with everyone else.
He's doing the Alimonda strategy of just lazily sipping drinks in the pit lane for a while and then going out when most of the drivers have already done their first run. That is a classic strategy from myself, but Michi is significantly faster than myself. certainly the exit from La Source will prove that. I mean, it takes me an age to get out of that corner normally. Not one of my best corners at this track, despite being my favourite on the gander. But El Rouge Radion, it's a track corner, I should say. That needs no introduction. It's just spectacular to watch. And the thing that you don't really understand with that particular corner is how steep it is. In real life, when you actually have a look at it, it is incredibly steep corner, and then watching a car fly up that hill like that, it is a sight to behold. What is it? Not just Formula 1, but any series.
I think if anyone wants to get an idea of how steep it is, I'm sure I think I've seen videos before when they've been doing track walks of people cycling and skateboarding down Eau Rouge and Radion, but one that really showed it to me was the helmet cam that they used this weekend on Fernando Alonso's car. As he's coming up through Eau Rouge and Radion, you can just see sky. You can't see any of the track on top of that corner. It is incredibly steep. Not as much of a challenge now in a modern Formula 1 car in the dry, but in any other car and in any other conditions, it is definitely very difficult indeed. We'll see what Mishka can do as he comes through Stavolo now, about to head towards the final sector of the lap. Just invalidates as he comes through that corner. We see that happen quite a lot in qualifying.
Yes, I mean, it is a track that if you don't get into the right rhythm, particularly during the race, you can pick up a lot of warnings and penalties. And it's funny, really. It's not really the corners you would suspect where you pick up the warnings. It's actually some of the slower ones, like Stavolo. It's just going a little bit too much speed and then failing to gather it up again. You can just slide wide and pick up that warning. And Stavolo is one of those examples. No Name Corner is another one where you can pick up those warnings. And Michi, unfortunately, is having to go again. He will hopefully have the fuel. He doesn't have red fuel, so it looks like he has got the fuel to go again.
Yeah, definitely not an ideal line though through La Source. Sort of got caught on the hairpin there. Isma spun it, I think, in the pit lane. On the exit of the pit lane, and then gets disqualified from the session for blocking the pit lane. That is an absolute nightmare for the McLaren driver. He will be starting right from the back of the grid.
And I think Casper had to take avoiding action as the AI retired the car. Luckily, he wasn't on a lap, so he didn't spoil anything. But yeah, I didn't see the actual spin, but I saw the aftermath of it as Casper had to take avoiding action. So yeah, that is a bizarre situation for Ismir. But yeah, he is out of the session, so he will start from the back of the grid. Very unusual to see a disqualification during qualifying, and that's normally the reason for it, blocking the pit lane accidentally, and that was a pure accident. He wasn't doing any malicious intent there. It wasn't Alonso like on Hamilton in Hungary all those years ago, blocking him in the pit lane. But yeah, that's tough luck for the McLaren driver.
Yeah, I think the only time I've managed to do it on any F1 game was at Hockenheim. I seem to remember spinning it through turn 1 and spinning it across the pit lane exit and then getting disqualified. It is quite a tricky entry and exit here, and it is normally the entry that causes a bit more trouble. Just as the most experienced driver in Formula 1 history, Kimi Räikkönen, finding it in Friday practice, finding the pit wall. Christmas is on a much better lap though than he was previously. He's 5 tenths up at this moment in time. That would put him around where Gamer and Casper are at the moment. We'll see what he can do from Blanchimont, where Max Verstappen sort of announced himself to Formula 1 with that pass on Felipe Nasr at the 2015 Belgian Grand Prix. Christmas doesn't have to worry about traffic in front of him. We did see a bit of a mess in F2, the two Red Bulls coming together as Christmas goes up into 9th position. Traffic, it shouldn't be a problem on the longest circuit of the calendar. You should have 350 metres ahead of you and 350 metres behind you, but with the drivers sort of always slowing down through the bus stop chicane to get that best possible line, it can cause issues.
Yes, no question about that. And that was a solid lap from Christmas there to get into the top 10. Just been watching Ogiano. He's invalidated his latest attempt, but he's in a solid P10 at the moment. So yeah, there's definitely some time to be had out there. Just over 6 minutes of the session to go. But Blizzard's sitting very pretty. No one else has been able to get into the 39s just yet. Just having a look at some of the other drivers there. Yeah, again, no one's really improving at the moment. It's almost as if the track evolution is still to come. A lot of invalidations actually in the second runs as well. But let's just see who else is out there. And yeah, the two Alpines, they're both going faster actually. So Leo and Jordan look like they're going to be starting to close the gap to Blizzard in this run. Looking at the sector times. So yeah, Leo is actually now purple in sector 2. So I think Leo is the one to keep an eye on as Juice splits the Alpines and moves up to P3.
Yeah, great lap from Joost then. P3 at the moment. Jordan is improving, so this could challenge the Red Bull driver. Oh, just gets it wrong on the curb and beautifully drifts his way into the pit lane, almost as if that was planned. We'll see what Leo can do. This is going to be good enough, I think, to solidify his P2. He's going to need a mighty final sector to try to challenge Blizzard. And there we go, 140.049. Gets within 0.2 of a second of Blizzard. He's almost equidistant now between Blizzard and Joost, but can't quite get into the 1 minute 39. So definitely that time from the AlphaTauri driver looking very good at this moment in time. And in fact, I'm not even sure Blizzard has been out. Again, he's just enjoying himself at the moment. Quite nice and relaxed. Midnight looks as though he's about to head straight into the pit lane. Now, some circuits you see drivers going for 4 runs. That's impossible here at Belgium just because of the length of the circuit. But because the tyres last quite well, if you do invalidate your first lap, as we saw, I can't remember who it was earlier on. I think it might have been Mish try and do it. You can set a second run on that same set of tyres.
Yeah, if Mish was doing a second run, that didn't work out either because he still hasn't set a time at all. He's P19 at the moment at the back with Will. But yeah, Casper setting a purple sector 3 to move up to P5. Duncan, not sure what he's doing at the moment. I feel like he's possibly pushing for the alternate strategy because he's way off at the moment, nearly 6/10 of Blizzard's time. And down in P14, that's not the position he would ideally want to start. So I think unless he generally doesn't have any pace, I think he's possibly trying to get P11 or at least outside the alternate strategy.
Yeah, Duncan, 3rd place here on the last game. Obviously, things have changed slightly, handling slightly different, and unless your head's been under a rock on League Racing Twitter for the last few days, you'll know that the handling is going to get different again around about October time. But Duncan definitely not having an ideal situation at this moment in time. We'll see how he's doing on this lap. He has backed off, so this isn't going to be a hot lap, but he's going to have to get a bit of a move on at this moment in time. So like you said, 2 tenths behind his teammate, but that is 9 places at the longest track in the calendar, just in case you were wondering how close things were in PSGL F1 at this moment in time. 7 tenths of a second, separating all 17 drivers that have currently set a time, and we have now got Will, Michi and Gamer all out on lap times, trying to, well, in the case of Will and Mich, just trying to get a time on the board.
Yes, I mean, it's probably a good time to go out. There's not a lot of traffic at the moment. Most of the drivers are preparing to come out again. You know, as long as you come out before, you know, around 2 minutes before the end of the session, you should easily be able to get round to start a lap. But, you know, you don't want to cut it too fine because with the concertina effect of the traffic slowing down to get the space, that can catch you out. I have seen it in sessions in other teams where that's happened, where, you know, they've been at the back of the queue plenty of time when they came out, but because they've had to slow down so much, they've missed the lights at the end and not been able to get a final timer. And at this track in particular, where the evolution on such a long lap can be huge, that can be highly costly to your grid position. So Will G's about to start a lap, as you mentioned, Mitchie just behind him on track. So yeah, Will G, you know, finally broke his point stuck. I think he's very satisfied with how his season's gone so far. Now the next step for him, Luke, will be trying to step up further up the grid. I think we've seen some good performances so far from him, but whether he can now make that step towards, say, the top 8 of the grid, that's going to be the key thing for him.
Yeah, we'll see what he can do then on this lap. Obviously yet to set at any time at the moment. Just on some of the some of the cars on out laps, I should say, getting well out of the way. We'll see what the first sector is from Will, 29.829. It's there or thereabouts with what we've seen some of the others do. The second sector will be a much more telling point as the longest one on this circuit. Now coming into the Rivage hairpin, there's Fusilo just there at this moment in time. Will he dive to the apex, or will he sort of stay right on the apex? Coming through No Name, and that could well be going to the stewards.
Yeah, that's a slam dunk penalty if that's reported. Fusilo, I'm guessing he was concentrating warming up his tyres, but he just failed to even see if Will G. It is the duty of the driver not on the hot lap to get out of the way. He had plenty of time to do so. So yeah, that's unfortunate error there from Fusilo, but he just wasn't paying attention, and it does happen. So that's ruined Will's lap, and that's, well, if he's got the fuel, he has got time to get around again. Mitchie, decent sector 1 from him, pretty competitive in the 29.8, which seems to be the average for most of the field so far. And he's got traffic ahead of him as well, and yeah, Fusilo gets out of the way this time, not making the same mistake twice. And wow, his gear shift sounded really strange. It's almost like he backed off just then. I'm not sure why. Yeah, he's got traffic ahead of him. I'm not sure. Unless he's been doing a warm-up lap, Luke. He's backed off completely.
Yeah, I think he just ran a bit wide through that chicane and decided to back off in the end. I mean, you can just see the traffic jam that is happening at this moment in time. Christmas is trying to warm up his tyres. Just look behind him. All the cars seem to be on the same part of the circuit at this moment in time. And very soon, the game is actually invalidated. I was about to say they could have a very rapid CRG gamer coming up to the back of them. And how often does this happen in Formula 1? You give them the longest circuit, and they all seem to find the same point of it. They all want to try and be the last car across the line to set a lap time. So see if we've got any improvements going on at the moment. Michi and World did end up setting valid lap times, but they will keep them in 18th and 19th at the moment. We are starting to see a few slight improvements. I think one of the first drivers across the line is going to be CRG Midnight. 3/10 up at the moment. Could he make it an AlphaTauri 1-2 as the checkered flag is out?
Did invalidate his final run, so he is 100% not improving his 139.875, which isn't a bad time to be fair. But yeah, Midnight, rapid improvements from him as he heads towards the line. No purples in any of the sectors so far, but this is looking like sort of time. I think this could be good enough for top 4. And no P2, you were correct, just over a tenth. So it's an AlphaTauri 1-2 at the moment. Leo has made a mistake. He's invalidated, so he's getting out of the way. Juice is now heading through. Oh, he's invalidated as well. A lot of invalidations at the moment. So at the moment, no real challenges for the AlphaTauri. Just looking at the sector times. What about Jordan? Jordan is about 2/10 up on his current time. This isn't going to be good enough pole unless he has an absolutely incredible. And Georges with the same time as Midnight goes into P2, but in reality he should be P3. Duncan has retired in P15, so that's a look at the attention. Jordan goes up to P5 onto row 3 he goes. No one else seems to be close to the times of the AlphaTauris at the moment, but that's a brilliant lap for Georges. But yeah, he should in reality be in P3.
I always wonder if this game goes to IndyCar style, like 10 thousandths of a second, and just doesn't tell us that that is happening in the background. Will LG's gone up into 10th place on his second lap on that set of tyres. One board with his teammate at the moment. We'll see if there's any other improvements that shift up the order. Jackita spun it through the final chicane, so he won't be improving his time, obviously.
Oh,
Ogiano goes up to 5th place. Gamer goes into 12th. So great final runs from both of the Alfa Romeos. Leo dives into the pit, so no improvement for him. The Alpines did look quick. They're going to start 4th and 6th after mistakes on their final laps. But it's a 3rd pole position in a row this season from CRG Blizzard, and scarily for everyone else, that first lap was good enough.
Yeah, and Blizzard actually went slower in Sector 1 on his final run. So it was strange because I looked at the second runs, and yeah, the tracking didn't evolve as much as I was expecting it to. It was almost like it kind of got to a static position. A lot of improvement was made by those, outside the top 10. Like the Orgiano leaping in there the last second. So there definitely was track evolution, but not enough to sort of leap a lot of the drivers into the 39s.
No, not quite at the levels we were expecting, but one man who didn't have to worry about the track evolution whatsoever was CRG Blizzard. His 3rd pole position this season. Can he convert it into his 2nd victory and extend the championship lead? A great final lap from Georges, tied on time with Midnight, so they are 2nd and 3rd. Leo is 4th. Ogiano looking for his first points of the season. He is starting from 5th place. Jordan and Ustar 6th and 7th. Jackita 8th, despite spinning on his final run. Casper and Zander round out the top 10. The Williams are on the 6th row of the grid, and they'll both get a fresh choice of tyres, as will Danirko, Christmas, Asacombe, Duncan, Benjamin, Fusilio. Michi didn't get a clean lap in the end. He'll be starting 19th. The only driver behind him is Ismix, who got disqualified, of course, for blocking the pit lane. So he's going to have it all to do from last position. But again, Blizzard just absolutely fantastic on this game. He's looking very dominant at this moment in time. But as we saw last week, strange things can happen in the race. Not a weather, but perhaps a safety car could really bring those on the alternate strategy into play.
Well, I mean, it says there is a 44% chance of rain. So there is a small chance considering some rain later. It just looks overcast at the moment. So yeah, so that is Blizzard's 19th pole position PSGL1, thanks to Colin in the chat. So he's got to be up there in terms of the all-time records. I'm not sure what the all-time record is. I'd imagine Connor is up there, given his success in the past. But yeah, this is a race I'm really looking forward to. We are going to get no red flags because of rain, and certainly no half points unless we get something catastrophic. So yeah, it's going to be, given that there's unlikely to be rain, this looks like it's going to be blizzards to lose. But you know, it's Belgium, anything could happen. I saw an absolutely horrendous crash here in season 21, which was the last time I commentated here in this league, and that lap 1, as you know, Luke, very treacherous here.
Yeah, definitely. Blizzard then looking for his 16th win in PSGL, and we did see some massive crashes, I think, in the PC. F2 seems to come to mind that we saw on Wednesday. But what will happen this time around this circuit in the Ardennes Forest? Very undulating, always fearful, always fast. 7.004 kilometers, 2 DRS zones, and they will provide the main overtaking opportunities into Lacombe and into the bus stop chicane. As we see what tyres everyone is on, absolutely no surprises. Top 10 softs, bottom 10 mediums.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it during qualifying. I would have been stunned if anyone for a dry race was going to start on the hards, because there's no real benefit having that, because the mediums go so far through the race anyway. You know, we'll be expecting the medium runners to be coming in, you know, anywhere from sort of lap, 12, 13 onwards. They should be coming in for softs, and the softs, far less than that, laps 8 to 10. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw someone coming in as early as the end of lap 8, to be honest, to put on the mediums for those in the top 10.
Yeah, we did just have the pit strategy flash up on screen, AWS being as accurate as it always is, suggesting that we're going to see soft to hards and medium to hard strategies. Like we said in qualifying, the only way realistically you're going to see a soft to hard strategy is if there is an early safety car. Assuming it's a normal race, how well do we think those on the alternate strategy can do? The Williams starting 11th and 12th on the medium tyres. Is a podium a realistic goal, or is it just trying to get further up into the points, perhaps 5th, 6th position?
Yeah, I mean, the alternate strategy here is not quite as strong as, say, like a Bahrain. It's still very powerful, of course, as it is in general on these games, particularly as, unless Blizzard has unbelievable race pace, we are going to get quite a big DRS train pretty much down the entire field if there's a clean lap 1. So, yeah, I mean, Gamo's the one to look out for. He has, on many occasions in this tier, down the years, made the alternate strategy work, even on some of the older games where it wasn't quite as powerful. I just saw a driver go onto the grass. That was, Christmas just went onto the grass. That's not going to help his tyres. But now the field comes around the final corner and gets ready to go racing as Fusilo hits Mitchie. So, yeah, Fusilo's not had a great few minutes, blocking something qualifying, then colliding with Mitchie. So hopefully the race goes a little bit better for him.
Yeah, quite a scrappy end to the formation lap for both of the Aston Martin drivers, so they'll be hoping that the race goes better, of course. But it is Blizzard, pole position, quite a short run towards the first corner here at La Source. It is that slipstream all the way through Eau Rouge Radion and up the Camel Straight that you have to watch out for on the first lap of the race. All the cars are in position, the lights are coming on here at Spa. We've got 5 lights. And we're underway for the Belgian Grand Prix. Not a long hold whatsoever. Blizzard straight away trying to cover off the move from Georges all the way around the outside. Who is going to give it a go, I think, but he's going to find himself getting cut off there. Midnight's made contact, and both of the Alpines getting involved in that as well, ruining their momentum. A bit of a concertina effect in all of that, but it is Blizzard. Georges right underneath his rear wing at this moment in time. This is a perfect position to be at the top of the hill at Radion. He's going to try to go the long way down the Camel Straight. Has he got the straight line speed to do it and go all the way round the outside? It looks like Blizzard just about pulling away from him at this moment in time. Midnight's managed to hold on to 3rd position. Jordan almost getting clipped by the AlphaTauri there. Yost is up into 5th place. Shizuo Giano and Leo, who was really the big loser in the top 10 in all that's happened, but it looks like everyone has got through the first few corners relatively unscathed. Blizzard, Georges, Midnight, the top 3 remaining as they were.
My goodness, there were so many near massive accidents. Speaking of which, Danny is out of the race. I'm not sure what happened to him, but yeah, there were so many light contacts. Yeah, and it looks like Danny's been nudged into the wall just before no-name corner, so that's one of the Ferraris out already. No sign of a safety car from race control. But yeah, Blizzard definitely had a little bit more straight line speed, and that's to be expected. He had the fastest Sector 1 during qualifying, so he's definitely running a very low downward setup. And look at that, galloping away from Georges, nearly a second out of sight. He's using a lot of battery to try and get that second, and that can be quite important on the opening lap to get away from that DRS train, because as we know, Once the DRS train is right behind you, it's very difficult to defend it. He's already a second, so he's got that job done. This is looking very similar to what we saw at Bahrain in France so far.
Yeah, definitely at Bahrain. He's streaked away from M-Short at that race, and this time around he's streaking away from George's. Assacomb's got front wing damage, so I wonder if the two Ferraris came together. A bit of a nightmare race for them at this moment in time, so that could really explain what has happened there. No DRS has not been activated. First time they'll be able to use it is down the Kemmel Straight. Next time around, oh, Midnight's lost it! Coming through Radion, is he going to retire from the race? Yes, he is.
He's out, he's
Massive
out.
crash in the wall.
Oh, well, that's just an unforced error, and we've seen so many top drivers in this tier get claimed by the exit of Radion, because it is an easy flat these days, but that's in qualifying. In the race, you can go flat there, but with the heavy weight of the fuel, it can unsettle the car if you don't get the steering quite right. And unfortunately for Midnight, he's only got 1 point in the first two races. He was considered one of the drivers to potentially challenge for the championship, but it's just not working out for him at the moment. That's another example. And surprisingly, Luke, no safety car.
Yeah, it was quite a big incident in the end. I almost thought he had a slight chance of maybe slowing it down enough and just getting away with it, but no, the rear left tyre coming off, and he was fairly close to George's, but I don't think it was close enough for the dirty air really to be a massive effect. So like you said, probably just getting caught out in the end by the heavy fuel loads, maybe by slightly colder tyres, maybe just taking a slightly different line. That can cause problems as well. Assacomb's been into the pits and put on a set of the medium tyres. Might be able to get those towards the end of the race, but we'll have to wait and see what he can do. But it's now Blizzard, George's and Jordan in third place. Only a reserve driver, but he has won here before, so we'll have to wait and see what he can do in this race. As there we go, Jordan actually fastest man on that last lap out of the top three.
Yes, and that was a really important lap for George's. He actually lapped significantly faster than Blizzard, and that enabled him to get back within the 1 second of Blizzard before the DRS was activated, I believe. Although my timing screens, unfortunately, are completely messed up, because according to my screen, George is a minute and a half behind Blizzard, but we know that is obviously not true. Just seeing, yeah, actually, it seems like George didn't have DRS, so obviously a poor exit just before the detection zone means he wasn't able to get DRS, but he looks less than a second to me on board at the moment.
Yeah, I think he did actually have his rear wing open. Another man who had a very poor exit, I think it's safe to say, is Leo. Looks like he lost the car up the hill, but was able to avoid the wall. So started, of course, well up in fourth position. Looked like he was going to have a fantastic race and maybe get a chance to get Alpine's first points. Jordan, as a reserve, will not be eligible. In the end, he's the biggest loser outside of Midnight, obviously, who's retired. 13 places down for him. Big winners on the first laps of the race. CRG Benjamin up 8 positions at this moment in time. And he is now the second car on that set of the medium tyres, and it is Gamer the lead on the medium. So like you said, Mark, he's a man who loves the alternate strategy, and if he can stay within DRS range of those ahead, this could come very good towards the end.
Yeah, I think so. PA for Gamer at the moment is having a really good time as Christmas picks up the first on-track penalty. So 2 retirements, 18 running at the moment. Yeah, it's looking very nice for Gamer at the moment. His lap times are pretty competitive. He's got a nice gap to Benjamin just behind, who's in reserving for McLaren tonight. He's got Casper up ahead of him, a driver he's very familiar with, battled many times over the year. Ogiano lost 1 position from the start, but still in a solid P6. But I think we're going to get a nice little battle between himself and Casper. Casper looks like he's lapping a little bit faster at the moment. And so at the moment, the main battles look out the battle of P2, because George has once again dropped out of DRS on Blizzard ahead. But he's not exactly, charging ahead Blizzard. So it's just kind of keeping him honest at the moment as, oh, wait a minute, Blizzard's off! Blizzard's off!
Blizzard, championship leader, race leader, is off somehow. I think he's managed to save the car enough without getting any damage. We'll just check quickly on the TAS system. I don't think he has hit the wall, actually, so he's got away with that one. Both Alpha Tauris spinning off then at Eau Rouge and Radion. Midnight retired from the race. Blizzard able to carry on, and that is now George's in the lead of this race. Absolute nightmare for Blizzard, and we know what happens on this game. It takes a few corners to cool the tyres down, so needs to be careful and try and get his head back into the game.
Unbelievable. Georges takes the lead of the race in a way he would not have expected at all. That is a rare, unforced error from Blizzard, who was so serene on the first 3 laps, but gets to that corner, and as we say, in qualifying it's one thing, but with that heavy fuel tank, it just makes it a little bit less of a margin when you go flat through that corner, and it can catch you out so easily, and even a great like Blizzard, it's caught out today. Luckily, though, as you mentioned, doesn't look like any damage. I can't see any damage visibly on the car, and nothing on Taz either. So I think he's got away with it, which means he will be able to carry on and maybe do a bit of recovery job. So he's not out of the fight for a podium just yet, but that has significantly caused a setback for the current championship leader, and that gives Juice an opportunity to take the lead of the championship as it stands.
Yeah, it does indeed, and it might give Jordan, his VSR teammate, a chance to take the lead of the race very shortly. Georges is ahead of him at this moment in time, but he was outside the DRS range last time around. He definitely is now. He's got no car ahead of him, so we'll see what Jordan can do. Coming down the hill, not using any ERS at this moment in time as he sweeps up. If they both manage to keep it nice and clean from there, gets up the top of the hill, activates that extra bit of electrical energy and opens the rear wing flap as well. Youst is not too far behind. We've got this view back from Georges at the moment in time. Jordan not quite close enough to go for the move on this lap. Youst going with them. So we'll have to wait and see if we're going to get any changes between those further back. Will OG just inside the points at this moment in time as Duncan and Christmas getting very close together. The Aston Martin versus the Mercedes side by side coming through Malmedy. Duncan's going to try and get his nose ahead before we go downhill into Ravage. Bit of contact between the two of them. Duncan gets forced wide ever so slightly, and that might give Fusilo a chance to get in. In the end, nothing doing for him. So Duncan stays in 14th. Christmas in 13th position, and Jordan was very close to the back of George's there, and I think that red light flashing on the back of the Alfa Romeo at the end of the Kemmel Straight, bit of a warning sign for the rest of this race.
Yes, I honestly believe if Jordan hadn't had DRS at George's, I think Juice would have taken him, because Juice got a much better exit on the top of the hill Radley on, and he was right on his gearbox, but then the DRS kicked in for Jordan, and that kind of saved him, able to get the toe from George's as well. So I think if Jordan falls out DRS at any stage from George's, then I think Juice has a little bit more pace on him at the moment. He was top 3 in the championship last season, Juice, so we know his quality in this particular tier. And with Blizzard's unexpected error, this gives him an opportunity to really take some kind of control of the championship going into the next round.
Yeah, definitely. We've had a question in the chat about one of the 3-second penalties. Could the stewards remove that penalty? They could, as long as they have evidence that he was forced off the track and they produce evidence from the race director. So it is possible to get the penalties removed if you weren't at fault for getting them. And Jordan, again, not that close to the back of George's. Youst definitely right behind the Alpine at this moment in time. And I think we're almost going to have deja vu from the last time around where Jordan just runs out of straight to try and get that move done. Jaquita following on to the back of these guys as well. It definitely looks like, especially Youst, he could go a lot faster if he didn't have these two cars ahead of him.
Yeah, I think it's certainly the current pace of the leaders is not that impressive really as these softs go off, and this is allowing the likes of Gamer to Gamer went 4/10 quicker than George's last time. Oh, and a big snap of oversteer coming out of no corner. Oh, Leo has retired. He's just he's binned it at the same place that Danny retired. Safety car. Oh my goodness. So I would say this is early enough for the mediums, because there's going to be at least a couple of laps at safety car speed, so it might be worth the risk for someone to go on the mediums, but maybe they'll go onto the hards instead. But I don't know, it's borderline for sure.
This was about the... I was thinking, if it was first 5 laps we saw the safety car, you'd go for the hard tyres. This is about the lap where I think, you know what, it might just be worth a shot. Go for that set of medium tyres. We'll see. I imagine, if you want the soft tyres, you've kind of got to come into the pits now. Whether you go for the medium or hards, staying out there is not really a viable option.
Oh, it looks like Oggiano is slowing down the pack on purpose because he's got a double stack. So he's trying to create a gap, because he was definitely way closer to the top 4 than he currently is. Yeah, he's slowing down the pack on purpose. I'm not sure of the rules on that, but he's doing it, and he hasn't caused any damage. But so he's still going to feel the effects of being a double stack, so it's kind of pointless in a way. He might probably save a couple of seconds, and they will come in. So what tyres are they going on, Luke?
We've got a mixture. Well, it looks like we've got quite a few medium tyres. Youst's gone for the hard. Only 2 drivers have stayed out there on the circuit. Those that started on the mediums are going to have to go on the hard tyres. The only drivers that have stayed out there are Christmas and Fusilio. And yeah, the biggest losers in this safety car is, of course, those that went for the alternate strategy. Those that started on the medium tyres, it has really ruined their day. They've felt like they've had to come in, the majority of them, and put those hard tyres on. The ones that are really trying something different here, Gamer and Benjamin, they've gone for a set of softs. They're going to have a very lively 16 laps.
Yeah, well, I mean, to try and get softs that far, that's going to be quite interesting. Looking at Game and Benjamin, keeping an eye on their progress, but that's a long way to go because I don't think the safety car will be out too long. I think that Atticum should catch up the pack. Not the end of this lap, probably. Well, he could do, but I don't think before they get to Stavilo, it's the end of Sector 2. So I think it'll be the end of the next lap. Usually the game codes it so that when the pack has basically all gathered up, it then comes in on that lap. So I think the start of lap 9 is where the race will restart. Very interesting. So juiced on the hards, that's a very interesting call. It's a safe call, I would say. You know, he'll easily get to the end. Those on the mediums, you know, they're going to go slightly longer than they would probably have liked on the mediums. So they will have a little bit of performance issues on the mediums at the end of the race, Luke. So that may play into the hands of Juice later on. But the unfortunate thing is for Juice is he's likely going to be quite vulnerable after the restart if he doesn't have that pace on the hards, if he hasn't got them up temperature to being overtaken a lot. So he may be wasting a lot of time getting overtaken. So by the time, you know, the hards come back to him, he maybe have dropped quite a bit behind and may not have the tyres to, you know, get back to where he was.
Yeah, he's going to have to just try and stick with them for the first couple of laps, and then once the DRS comes into play, it might be slightly easier. If he does drop out of the DRS, you'd expect Jaquita and especially Gamer to start flying by. And this is going to be very interesting. I think they're going to have to go for 2 stops, our Gamer and Benjamin. They're just trying something slightly different. Their alternate strategy has been ruined, but they were the lead 2 cars, let's not forget, on that alternate strategy, and they've both gone for the soft tyres. Blizzard is now out of the points entirely. He's down in 11th position, and Mitchie now, apart from Yost, out of those that started on the mediums, Mitchie is the lead car on the hard tyres in 12th position. This has really stirred things up at the moment in time as Isma, this might not be a bad idea if he's doing what I think he's doing. Coming into the pits, he's done 1 lap on a different set of tyres, might as well put a fresh set of mediums back on.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what Asicombe's done as well, and he was able to catch up the pack very quickly, and given the long nature of this circuit, that could work out beautifully. Asicombe has gone onto the hards. Interesting. So he's chosen, unless that's a graphical glitch. No, it is the hards indeed for the Ferrari driver. So he was on the mediums when he pitted, and he chose to come back in for the hards. So I'm not sure about that one, but yeah, you're right. He had a nightmare qualifying, spun out of the pit lane, got disqualified, but I think Izmir, he'll have the freshest mediums at the end of the race, in theory. So that could really play well into his hands. But yeah, it's a fascinating situation. We've got so many different strategies. Oh, and Casper has binned it on the safety car. He's done a half George Russell in a way. I don't think Ericsson hit him, so he's down to P15. So we've seen a few unexpected unforced errors here today. Cold tyres, of course, at these slow safety car speeds. But, oh my goodness, Casper will be absolutely furious with himself for that mistake because he was in a really nice position in the top 10 on those mediums. And now he's dropped all the way down to P15.
If a former esports driver can do it, it can happen to anyone. Absolute nightmare there for Casper, spinning it at Lacombe, and other nightmares that have happened related to VSR. The Red Bull team are going to get a bit of a slapped wrist. I think Brett's going to be making the trip down from Glasgow to Milton Keynes to give them a piece of his mind, because apparently Yost and Xander both chose the medium tyres and the game's put them on the hards. So bit of a shame for them. They're obviously going to now pay the price for that, although we've already said for Yost it might turn out to be a blessing in disguise later on. We'll have to wait and see. And there's the message we've been waiting for. Bert Mailander is going to speed off into the distance. Safety car coming in this lap.
Yeah, I think another interesting factor is how far the Christmas and Fusilo go. They're going to have, good performance on those mediums for a good while yet before they come in for the softs. Unfortunately, with the pack so close now, they're going to be really out of position once they come pit for the softs later on. They'll be probably massive favourites for the fastest lap at that point. But they're going to be nowhere in terms of the points, unfortunately. So it's going to be fascinating now. We've got so many strategic choices going on right here as the field gets ready to go racing here once again at Spa.
Yeah, quite often you see 5-second penalties happening when they all bunch up here. Christmas has gone before the bus stop chicane. We'll see if he has caused that right. Everyone just managing to get around that, and we are going to be back to green flag once they cross the line. Christmas with an absolutely fantastic restart then. Fusilo in second, already looking as though he might come under a tiny bit of pressure from Georges. Further back, Blizzard's looking very close to the back of Benjamin, but on those soft tyres, the McLaren is going to be extremely fast indeed. He does run ever so slightly deep, so it's Christmas leading. Fusilo in second place. Georges was very fast on the back of Blizzard, let's not forget, on lap 1 of this race, and he might have a chance to have another move on the restart here. All over the back of the Haas, equal cars, both with Ferrari engines in real life, of course. Fusilo's not even bothering to defend the inside line, quite surprisingly. Down the inside goes the Lebanese driver, and he takes that second position. Great move from VRT Georges, but that little battling has meant Christmas has been able to escape at the start of this restart. 1.2 seconds ahead, but let's not forget, him and Fusilo both need to come into the pits.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, the medium tyres on Fusilo are not that much older than George's, you know, because the mediums can go really deep into a race like this at Belgium with the low tyre deck, but the traction that George's managed to have at the top of Radion was incredible compared to Fusilo. That's what made the move so easy for him, and he's already within DRS at Christmas, so George's race pace at the moment seems to be absolutely brilliant, and that mistake by Blizzard earlier on has really lit up the race for him. It's given him a golden opportunity to win this race, in my view, because Jordan is unable to pass Fusilo at the moment, and if he can't do that quickly, that's going to give Georges that DRS gap once it gets reactivated, and that will allow him to get past Christmas and put another car between himself and Jordan, who looks like his closest challenger at the moment.
Yeah, certainly. Fusilo just getting a good run there, though, through Blanchimont, able to slipstream on the back of Georges. No DRS until lap 11. And that, of course, could make things very interesting at the moment, seeing as Georges has just dropped back outside of it. Jordan's going to send one up the inside here of La Source. Brave move from the Alpine driver, just forces the Haas very wide ever so slightly, but he was well entitled to do that. He got the car alongside, and Jordan, realising he can't hang around, gets himself up into third position. Now, will Fusilo, will he just settle ever so slightly, or will he be under pressure from Joost, who was looking very quick before that safety car period?
Yeah, that was a really important move by Jordan. You know, fair play to Fuso, left him the space. And yeah, really clean overtake from Jordan there. La Source, you don't see too many overtakes there during a race, but that was a nice move there to get him up to P3 and get him back into range. And we had another incident. Oh, it looks like Benjamin is out of the race now.
And Gamer's lost it through Malmedy. That is two separate incidents, and that is another safety car.
Oh my goodness, yeah. So I believe Benjamin had contact with someone side by side through Lecom. I just saw the end of it. Can't say for sure if that was contact or an unforced error. And then Gamer binning it just after Lecom at Malmedy. So my goodness, that's 5 retirements now. This is looking like season 21 all over again, but under very different circumstances. We had 6 retirements on lap 1 at El Rouge and Radion back in season 21, which is probably the worst crash I've ever seen in this tier. But yeah, 5 retirements, another safety car, and that does, you know, again, I think those on the mediums who pitted earlier, I don't think they'll pit. Well, if they've got, we know that Blizzard definitely has a spare set of softs, brand new softs, because he only did 2 runs, and I think a few other drivers are in the same boat. So could see a few drivers pitting now, maybe for softs, but yeah, it's gonna be interesting who pits. Christmas, I think it's worth Christmas. Yeah, Christmas, I 100% expected to come in because he's on that, and Fusilo I think will come in too, because they need to pit, otherwise they'll be absolutely nowhere if they keep waiting. So that's worked out beautifully for them. That's allowed them then to get that free pit stop. Anyone else? Well, Duncan's coming in, Azicombe as well. Just seeing if there's any damage on these drivers, because that could give us a clue, Luke, what happened to Gamer and Benjamin. Duncan has no damage. Azicombe just pulling into the box now, and no damage on him either. So that looks like a pure strategic decision. So Christmas, Fusilo and Duncan, I think Duncan in particular is going to be the one to watch on those sources once we restart. Yeah,
definitely. Christmas and Fusilo. Downside is the field was all tightly packed together, so when they've made their pit stop, they have lost a lot of places. The upside is they're going to be right onto the back of the pack on a set of the soft tyres. Very interesting that both the drivers that had the incidents, Gamer and Benjamin, were those that were on a set of soft tyres. Were they just perhaps pushing a bit too hard to try and make some moves? Neither of them had made big gains in the first couple of laps after the first safety car period, which was caused from Leo's incident. So I said we wouldn't see any red flags here, but a bit like the Belgian Grand Prix yesterday, we have actually had quite a lot of running with Bernd Mailander leading the race. He's going to know this circuit like the back of his hand very shortly, but it is now Georges in the lead, Jordan in second, Joost in third on those hard tyres. This sort of takes away the advantage of the hard tyres, of course, at the end of the race, and they are slightly harder to warm up after a safety car period. But as things stand, I believe he would take the lead of the championship.
Yes, if he stays in P3. But you're completely right. I mean, any question of the mediums getting to the end shouldn't be an issue now, because they've had quite a few laps behind the safety car, and based on what we've seen, it may not be the last one. We've seen a lot of sort of unexpected mistakes so far. I mean that one from Casper during the safety car, assuming it wasn't some sort of contact. I'm looking through the incidents at the moment to see if there's any suggestion. I mean, that's a really shocking error for someone like Casper to make. So it's certainly making it entertaining for the viewers at the moment. We've got over 400 watching at the moment, so thank you very much for tuning in. If you haven't done so already, subscribe. We got the PC. It is going to race this week, despite the best attempts at Codemasters, so definitely tune in for that on Wednesday and particularly Thursday for the top tier. But Luke, it's going to be very exciting to see what happens next. I think we're going to do one more lap on the safety car, so the start of the third team will be going underway. Jordan's did a really good job sort of clearing the traffic early on, but now he's got Jordan and Juice on the same strategy behind him. It's kind of as you were before the first safety car, isn't it? Where Jordan was kind of running out of ERS and Jordan and Juice right behind him seem to have a bit better straight line speed, but of course he's had that opportunity now to get all his battery back up to 100%.
Yeah, and especially we saw earlier on, Joost was right on the back of Jordan, but both cars had ERS on George's at that point, and George's was still, despite his low battery, just able to hang on, so you would give him a slight chance. Other drivers that are looking quite good at the moment. Ogiano, still in position to get his first points of the season, finished 11th last time out at the French Grand Prix, had a 10-second penalty which dropped him down outside of the top 10, but looks like he's going to have his best result of the season. Jordan as well, he's only a reserve, but this is a very good performance from a man that does seem to enjoy the Spa-Francorchamps circuit. Won here in season 27. I'm sure we're hoping that he can maybe have a go at Austria, where he won last season as well. We will be expecting the safety car to come in this lap. We have got only 15 runners. Asacombe taking it very steady on the soft tyres, and who can really blame him? He's going to catch up the pack. Why take any more life out of those tyres than you absolutely need to?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it several times during qualifying. Tyre wear shouldn't be an issue here, so I think they can afford to, be a bit more aggressive with the tyre temp management in terms of, putting more sort of heat into those tyres to get them ready for the restart. And, we saw a really good restart from Christmas for the first safety car restart. He went early towards the end of Blanchimont, and I think that is a good strategy to do that, because, that once you're sort of 3 courses away through Blanchimont, when you go early, there's no chance you can be challenged really out of the final hairpin. So I don't think there's much value really waiting for the final hairpin to go, because, again, if you come out of the final hairpin going slow all the way into it, then you can risk spinning up the tyres and getting a poor start, which leaves you running full of sauce. So I suspect Georges will do something similar on the restart and go towards the end of Blanchimont.
Yeah, certainly. Of course, you can't overtake until you get to the start-finish line. Previously, it was the safety car line, which might have changed where the drivers were deciding to go for it, but it is now their last bits of aggressive tyre warming. A bit more life's been taken out of the tyres, so they won't warm up as well as they did earlier on. Can't brake and accelerate consistently and fake that you've gone. That will get yourselves a penalty and can also cause collisions, and it is quite dangerous driving. Jordan right on the back of Georges. He's ready to go whenever the Alfa Romeo man does, and there we go now. In fact, he's been caught napping ever so slightly. Georges has played an absolute blinder there in the Alfa Romeo. Fantastic restart, similar to what we saw Christmas do last time around. He's going to get away absolutely brilliantly, and Jordan's got quite a bit of a space on Joost. 10 laps remaining. Hopefully, we are going to get 10 laps of green flag action. Further back, Blizzard really close to the back of Ogiano. What can he do as he tries to maintain his championship lead? Christmas on the soft tyres, side by side with Isma. Who's going to get the best run down the hill towards Eau Rouge? It is going to be the Aston Martin. Christmas needs to get some moves done. He has that 3-second time penalty, of course, as does the McLaren behind him. No wheel swaps further up the field. Casper all over the back of Will LG, and the Williams driver might have to go slightly defensive here. Is Casper going to have enough of a run to send it all the way around the outside? No, not well, actually. I didn't think he was going to go for that move. He's managed to find it. What a move by Casper. Superb driving, superb trust between the two of them.
Yeah, that was a brilliant move by Casper, not so brilliant for Blizzard fighting Ogiano. He's now picked up a 3-second time penalty, and given how close the field is likely to be for the rest of the race, that could really be a fatal mistake in terms of his attempts to win the race, because not many time penalties out there so far. He's all over the back of Orgiano at the moment, although slightly nervy going through Huon at the moment, but Jordan keeping George's nice watching people. But yeah, that was a brilliant restart by George's. He almost did like a dummy with the tyre warm and then suddenly waited for Jordan to do the same thing and went exactly when he did it. And that almost gave him a second, but Jordan recovering well, so he's going to be well within DRS at the moment.
Yeah, certainly superb there from George's. Jordan is still within DRS range. Joost has dropped back ever so slightly, just more than a second. Perhaps that tyre warm up on the hard tyres not being what he would have liked. Blizzard using a lot of VRS. Is he going to send one up the inside of Orgiano into the bus stop chicane? The Alfa Romeo driver seeing it coming. He's going to try and force Blizzard to go the long way round. He's still just got enough of his car alongside, and this should be the Alfa Tauri driver getting the move done into La Source. Blizzard championship leader down the inside. He goes, and Orgiano, he's still fighting it with all it's worth, but I think he's going to have to give up fairly soon, or we're going to see some side-by-side action down the hill and into Eau Rouge.
Oh, still fighting it. Blizzard had a bit more straight line speed, which we've seen all day in this session. I saw a great battle between Casper and Christmas into Blanchimont at the end of that last lap, and he's now up to P9 is Christmas, so he's charging on those softs. And Orgiano trying to come back at Blizzard. Would he go for a dive at Lecombe? No, not quite close enough to do that.
Yeah, just didn't quite have the straight line speed. Like you said, Duncan's making some moves. Isma now starting to fall down the field on those medium tyres as Christmas picks up another penalty. Duncan's made a slight mistake, though, coming through Malmedy there, and that's allowed Isma to try and get his car alongside, put the extra grip on those soft tyres, allowing him to go round the outside of Rivage. The Mercedes seem to love some moves round the outside at this moment in time, as Isma's spun on the exit of that corner. I wonder if there was a bit of contact there with Assicombe. So Isma looks like he's not going to be scoring any points today. Back towards the lead of this race, though. Jordan has really closed up to the back of George's. Will he be able to get the move done next time around? He got so close in the first stint of this race, couldn't quite do it. He's got 8 laps remaining if he wants to take his first win of the season.
Yeah, I think Xander is under enormous pressure from Christmas. I think Christmas said, oh my goodness. Xander moved to the left slightly, and that made Christmas very twitchy on the wheel, went off track for a moment. That's kind of halted his momentum. I think it's going to be inevitable. A question of not if, but when Christmas gets through. He's going to dive down the inside in the end of Blanchimont at the chicane and gets up into P8. He is on a right charge here at Spa.
Yeah, Fusilo gets himself up into 11th place. The 2 Haas drivers are actually doing fairly decent at the championship in this moment in time. Jack Eater's in 4th, does have himself a 3-second time penalty, as does Blizzard, as does Isma. It's only Christmas with 6 seconds at this moment in time, and I wonder if Jordan's made a slight mistake somewhere. He's lost a lot of time to Georgia, so he's not going to be under any pressure this time around. The man who is going to be under pressure is Joost, and there's absolutely nothing he can do about this. Jack Eater pulls out of the slipstream, gets that move done, gets himself up into 3rd position, and that could help Joost if we see Jack Eater actually catch up to these guys up ahead of him. That might drag the rest along with them. Isma has retired from the race, and Christmas, his penalties might cost him, but he's continuing to make some moves. He's now up into 7th.
Yeah, and I really want to see Christmas score some points today. He's been absolutely superb since this restart. Yes, he's had those time penalties, but it could cost him points still because the grid is so filled. But then again, Luke, given the amount of retirements we had, if he just finishes, he might score points here.
Yeah, certainly. We have only got 14 runners remaining. We've seen Isma just retiring the pits. Gamer and Benjamin lost it. What caused the 2nd safety car period. Leo's accident. Oh, Christmas is round. Christmas has gone round. Thankfully, he has ghosted. Otherwise, that would have been an enormous crash. Christmas falls to the back of the field, just losing it through that chicane. It wasn't on the curb as you see so often either. It was almost like he just put the power down too early, went on overtake too early, and sent the rear around.
Oh, goodness me. I think I've cursed him there, singing his praises, and then a few moments later he bins it just before Stabilo. I believe that was an unforced error. Casper fighting Fusilo, who's on those softs. This has been an absolutely chaotic race. A lot more action than I expected from start to finish. A lot of unforced errors as well. But yeah, it looks like Christmas says, oh, Duncan just hits the back of Casper. 2 Mercedes teammates colliding, but unlike Rosberg and Hamilton all those years ago, no punches in this game. It's like, yeah, not a superb onboard shot from Duncan, flying through Eau Rouge and Radio, and he's round the back of Casper now in this fight for what is the final championship point at the moment. And at the head, there's 3 cars battling, and that is Xander, Fusilo, trying to get around the outside of Mitchie. They both get past him. Mitchie gets absolutely mugged. He's going down from P7 to P9, and it's going to have 2 Mercedes right on the back of him very soon as well. Here comes Duncan. He's going to try and go down the inside of Rivard's. 2 Mercedes teammates leave each other. Superb racing room, and Duncan gets up to P10. My goodness, you can't take your eyes off this track for a moment.
We sometimes worry about the Belgian Grand Prix on this game, that the strategies are always going to be very samey and you're just relying on the alternate ones. We've got drivers on 3 different types of tyres here, battling like absolutely crazy for these final points positions. Who knows which way this race will end up. And let's not forget, we've still got the battle for the lead of this race. Jordan has now managed to get back within contact of George's, and Jack Eater has dragged himself, Yost, Blizzard and Shizuo Ogiano along with him. That penalty for Jack Eater and Blizzard could cost them so this 3rd place on the podium. Who knows which way it is going to go at this moment in time. You don't really know what order the top few is going to be either. Fusilo's trying to go around the outside of Blanchimont here. That's a very brave move to try and pull off. Duncan's managed to get ahead of Miche, and I think Xander's going to be losing a position sooner rather than later. Fusilo perhaps deciding to wait until the DRS activation point, of course, as Asacombe now gets past Casper into 12th position. It looks like Will LG is going to try and have a go at this as well, as Blizzard sent one up the inside of Yost into the hairpin. He gets himself up into 4th place, Fusilo into 7th.
Timing screens, usually when you see them flashing like this rapidly, is some kind of glitch, but these positions are just changing left, right and centre. Xander like the cork in the bottle. Fusilo now ahead of him. He's on the hards, really vulnerable now to these rapid soft runners. I think Duncan's going to get ahead of him, but you know, Xander does have the DRS, but let's look at that. Amazing straight line speed. Hakkinen Schumacher style there around Fusilo. Duncan back up into Xander, I should say, back up to P7. Duncan up to P8. My goodness, that was absolutely astonishing there.
Oh, I had to look away then. I thought Duncan was going to have an absolutely huge accident, having to use all the downforce in this F1 car to try and change the direction. What a move there by Xander and Duncan to get round the outside of Fusilio. Fair play to Xander for just having the pace on those hard tyres, and surely Fusilio's not going to go down the inside of Buhon. That's never going to work.
No.
Contact between the two of them, and Fusilio is off then, and any chance he's got of scoring points has unfortunately gone out of the window.
Yeah, that was an ever-closing gap, and I do think Duncan was a little bit ahead of him. I think that was an optimistic move, but I think all that sort of action, I think the blood was racing, the pulse was at maximum, and I think that explains that kind of move. That's not the kind of move you normally make. That's what happens when the adrenaline is pumping, and then you just kind of forget your racecraft just for a split second. That's all it takes. But luckily, no damage, and still has maybe a chance. It could be a late safety car later on. But yeah, the battle for lead is still quite static between the two. But Blizzard now is beginning to close the gap to the top 3. He's now within DRS of Jaquita. Has got that 3-second time penalty, as has Jaquita. So at the moment, Juice is going to be in a net P3 as long as he stays within these two. So Blizzard would be, if he can't get ahead of Jaquita, he's going to be P5. So in terms of the point situation, I do believe that would give Juice a 1-point lead in the championship. I'll have to double check that. But my goodness, 6-car battle for lead, and the midfield action is getting ever crazier. Duncan, though, with a relatively simple DRS movement behind them. Will LG challenging Mitchie, the 2 hard runners battling for the final championship point.
Yeah, who knows which way this race is going to end up. Good point from Caden. I thought I had spotted it. Blizzard had a slight moment the previous lap coming up Eau Rouge as well, and I think it was saved ever so slightly by the fact that he had the DRS off the car in front, so he's managed to stay in that 4th position. The longer this goes on, the better it gets for Yost. His hard tyres probably now around the point where they're at a similar sort of pace as those on the mediums, and things are only going to get better for him. And now that Duncan is free from those on the hards, from Xander, from Miche, from Will, he's going to start closing in perhaps on Ogiano and Yost. And if he gets close enough to Blizzard and Jack Eater, we might even see them lose another few positions. We'll have to wait and see how these final 5 laps go. Jordan, he's stayed behind George's at the moment, and this is similar to what we saw last season with Wilson and Yost. You've got to pick when you're going to go for the move on this game if you're in the lead of this race, because you could very easily get done for next lap.
Yes, I mean, the straight line speed of these drivers seems quite similar. I think Blizzard's running a little bit less wing, which might explain the issue he had earlier on the race when he spun the car. A little bit less room for error in that respect. So the top 6, all very close to each other. The battle for the podium place is going to go all the way to the end. I think, unfortunately, all that battling that Duncan had to do, the likes of Xander, Mitchie, etc., has kind of cost him the opportunity to be close to the top 6. as Ogiano got a superb exit actually out of Radion. And I think if Juice hadn't had DRS, he would have been a bit vulnerable. But in saying that, Blizzard has dropped back from the top 3. Juice may be thinking about a move, but not quite close enough for the time being. So as Azicombe gets past Xander, Xander on for a 3rd point score in a row to start the season, the reigning F2 champion. So I think he'd be quietly satisfied with that. And he's had some really entertaining battles today. So he certainly had not a dull race in any stretch of the imagination. But yeah, I think it's going to be, as you mentioned, Luke, that Jordan, he's definitely playing a waiting game to the last few laps. Oh, he goes onto the inside curb of Pouon. You don't want to do that. He had a big moment there, but he was able to keep the car slowed down and didn't lose too much time in the end. But yeah, that was certainly a heart in the mouth moment for Jordan.
Yeah, certainly, and I just realised Xander's on for his now trademark 9th place in F1. He had it in the first 2 races, and barring anything crazy happening, it wouldn't surprise me if he gets it in this one as well. Duncan, not sure if he made a slight mistake on the previous, on the run-up over Rouge either, because Azicombe did seem to really close up to the back of him. Duncan obviously did not have DRS, so that perhaps might have explained some of it, but with 3 laps to go at the end of this one, Georges is still in the lead of this race. It looks like he is going to get at least a 2nd podium of the season, and Joost is as well. Just can he get his first victory? Will it be Jordan? The way this race has gone, who knows who else could end up taking this victory at this moment in time. I think we're going to need something crazy to happen for it to be Jaquita or Blizzard with those 3-second time penalty, but stranger things have happened in Formula 1. Jordan, look at that, 95% in his battery. He's definitely playing a bit of a waiting game at this moment in time, but Georges, he's got a fair amount in his battery as well, so he's going to want to get a move on fairly soon.
Yeah, absolutely. And the incredible thing is, despite the spread out field, everyone is in some kind of battle. Will LG now taking on Mitchie and easy DRS overtake, and I think they'll be swapping to Jefferson. And Azicombe, superb recovery considering where he started in this race. Up to P7 now, it's got ahead of Duncan with a standard DRS overtake. And the 3 drivers who had to pit again for softs, they're all within basically a second of each other, so they're all having a nice little battle. Fusilo heading up El Rouge, P13, now edging away from Christmas. But, you know, those 3, unfortunately, out of the fight for the points.
Yeah, such a shame for them, and I've got to agree with Azicombe. He was a long way back at the start of this race. Those 2 safety car periods have definitely helped him, but you've got to take the opportunities when they come, and it looks like he's done a fantastic job on those soft tyres as Fusilo loses the car at Lecco. No damage done, I think, just trying to push to get that fastest lap. No points for the fastest lap outside of the top 10 if it does go to one of those drivers, and seeing it is currently Christmas on a 1:41.795, I think it's fairly safe to say it will be going to a driver outside of the top 10. Back at the lead of this race, so Georges still in the lead. Is Jordan going to leave it until the final lap before he tries to attempt an overtake? Not using any ERS coming out of La Source. We are on to the penultimate lap of this Belgian Grand Prix. Georges versus Jordan, perhaps for the win. Jaquita and Blizzard, even to get the win out on track, they're going to need, I think, a minor miracle, seeing as they're stuck in this DRS straight.
Yeah, I mean, the way it's going, Georges is actually a little bit edging away now. So I think, yeah, Jordan's going to probably realistically only get 1 attempt. He's now rapidly closing on the straight, but he's not going to be anywhere near close enough to go for a move into Lecom. Jaquita right there as well. So Juiced at the moment, definitely on for P3, but Ogiano still there. Azicombe is desperately, he's very much on the edge of picking up an extra couple of places at the end of the race. If he can just get within 3 seconds, he's still lapping faster than those ahead of him. He's done 5 pit stops in this race, ladies and gentlemen, and he's in P7.
Wow, that is absolutely crazy. And let's not forget, he won't have pitted. How old is his tyres? He's on 8-lap tyres. He's done 5 pit stops in the first 13 laps of this race, and he's on for some points at this moment in time, as he has a bit of a wild moment coming through Pouhon. Has to go on the overtake to try and recover that ever so slightly, but yeah, only needs to gain a few tenths of a second, and he might be getting ahead of Blizzard and Jaquita as well. It all seems to have calmed down ever so slightly in that midfield battle. We're hoping it's all going to spice up in this battle for the lead of this race. It's been threatening really all of ace. Jordan has been on the back of Georges and has not been able to get a move done. Christmas picks up another time penalty. Jordan's got to think about it now. Where's he going to get this move done? Surely down the Camel Straight is his best opportunity.
Yeah, and the build up to this move starts here, the chicane. Get a good exit out of this final corner. Get as close as you can. Activate DRS. Get onto the gearbox, Georges. And now the second critical part of this trilogy to get this overtake done. The exit from the La Source hairpin. Right on the back of of Georges now plunging down the hill towards Eau Rouge and Radion for the final time. He's as close as he's been during this final stint. Up the hill they go for the final time, and now DRS activated, and yes, Georges is going to have to use every little bit of his DRS, but this is the time. Jordan, he's going for it. He's going for the lead of this race, and he's going to get into the lead with ease, and now Georges will only really realistically have Blanchimont to respond.
Yeah, Jordan, we said he was going to wait till the final lap, and that's the way it turns out. Takes the lead of this race. Misha's got ahead of Will LG. That's not going to have an effect on the results in the end because of Misha's penalty, but he'll be happy to get that top 10 out on track. Duncan has got a time penalty. That's going to drop him behind Xander, and it could be pretty close with Will at the end of this race as well, so we'll have to wait and see how things are going. Is there anywhere else where Georges can attack, get this move done, using a bit of ERS through Pouhon to just try and get us close to the back of Jordan? There's a slight possibility in the bus stop chicane, but Jordan's still with 30% more ERS. Surely he's going to be using all of that on the blast out of Stavelot and through Paul Frere as well, and I think, barring a mistake for now, it is going to be Jordan taking his second victory at the Spa-Francorchamps circuit. He won here in season 27, 8th last season. Didn't go to plan for him, but it does look like he's going to take another victory, and the third winner this season. Duncan's made a mistake on the final lap of this race. He's definitely not scoring any points, so it's not been great for VSR from his point of view. It's been brilliant for VSR. Jordan, though, he heads towards the finish line, takes the victory here at the Belgian Grand Prix. It's a second podium of the season for Georges, his best result in second. Joost comes home in third position with Blizzard in sixth. That will give the Red Bull driver the championship lead. First points of the season for Shizuo Giano in fourth. Jaquita is fifth. Christmas has lost it coming through Paul Frere on the final lap of this race. Promised so much, delivered little, unfortunately, once again for him. So Shizuo Giano in fourth, Jaquita fifth, Blizzard in sixth, recovering after that spin earlier on. Asacombe takes seventh. Xander, Will and Meech round out the points. A very costly final lap for Duncan, losing his front wing. Big mistake from him. Casper in 12th as well. The Mercedes looked feisty earlier on. Didn't go to plan for them. Fusilier will cross the line in 13th place. So much action happening in that race, especially in the midfield. We had a feeling the leaders were going to leave it until the last lap, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the best Belgian Grand Prix that we've seen in a long time, PSGL1. There was this action from start to finish. And yeah, was a brilliant drive from the reserve. I mean, once again, just showing his absolute class here at Belgium to win here yet again, as he did the last time we raced here. So yeah, magnificent stuff from him. I mean, this race really came alive when Blizzard made that mistake early on, because that changed the whole complexion of the race. And then we had that retirement shortly afterwards. And then that first safety car caused that huge shattering in the strategies we were expecting. And that's what it was, that those two moments made the race. Once that happened, then that gave Jordan the opportunity to then get into that position to calmly wait, like a, you know, to break the sort of toe of the driver behind first, and then build up his ERS to the maximum for that final lap attack.
Yeah, certainly. I'm not sure there's a lot Georges could have done differently there. It's not like he could have backed off to maybe let Jordan ahead of him, because obviously there was Jaquita, Blizzard, Joost and Shizuo Giano so close behind. So in the end, it is second for Georges, but it is a first win this season, and it is a third season, I think, in a row where VSR Jordan has won in Formula 1. He takes the victory here at Spa. He's second at this circuit in the top tier. Georges in second, Joost in third, Shizuo Giano and Jaquita fourth and fifth. Blizzard, in the end, after his spin, I think he'd have probably taken sixth position. Would him, looking very good at the moment. 3 pole positions, somehow not leading the championship. Asacombe is 7th, Xander in 8th. More points for Will LG in 9th. Meech just comes home to take the final point. Duncan lost it on the final lap. Casper lost it under the safety car, had to make that extra pit stop as well. Fusilio, another driver who 3 stops in the end. Christmas retired on the final lap of this race. Isma retired in the pits. Gamer and Benjamin, separate incidents, perhaps. Not sure if they were linked in any way, but we'll have to wait and see. Maybe hear from the drivers afterwards on social media what happened with them. That caused the second safety car. Leo's accident caused the first safety car. Midnight, the massive moment at Eau Rouge, and Dadirko retiring on lap 1 of that race. It definitely took a bit of memory skills to try and remember what happened at the start of this race. There was so much action going on. It feels like an absolute lifetime ago where Midnight and Blizzard lost it coming up the hill.
Yeah, I mean they started P1 and P3. It was looking really, really good for them. But even with these modern aero monsters of these F1 cars are these days, that complex of Eau Rouge and Redon can still catch out the very best, and we saw that again today. And in the end, it was those who made the least mistakes. Might sound obvious, but today really was about making the least mistakes, getting you in the best positions.
Yeah, and if we take our mind back to lap 1 of the race, remember we almost saw them carnage there. George just tried to get round the outside of Blizzard. Blizzard forced him wide over his skirt. The two Alpines nearly made contact. It could well have been over for our race winner on lap 1 of the race if there'd have been perhaps a bit heavier contact.
Yeah, I mean, on lap 1, there were so many near massive accidents on lap 1, like the finest of margins in terms of like contact and things like that. But fortunately, we didn't see that. And then it was, if anything, it was more unforced mistakes. There were a few contacts, which I'm sure we'll see in the stewards. So there may be a little bit more shuffling of the positions, and then we saw a couple of unfortunate accidents in qualifying where people were blocked accidentally. But again, the stewards will sort those out if they are reported. So we're just waiting for the top 3, aren't we, to get this interview onto the way. Should be some really interesting to see the words of Jordan in particular, just to see how calmly he was thinking about waiting for that overtaker towards the end.
Yeah, well, it's definitely a very measured performance. We have got a few of the drivers. Well, we have got a couple of them from the top 3, so we might as well start. And for a change, we'll go in reverse order. So let's bring the man who finished in the end in 3rd position on that alternate strategy. Take it away, Mark.
Well, welcome to the post-race interview for the PSGL F1 Belgian Grand Prix, and we are joined by the driver who finished in 3rd position, following up his win at France last week. It was another chaotic race here today for a P3 for VSR Juice, who I do believe takes the lead in the championship with that result. Juice, your mic is kind of, I'm not sure what your mic's doing. It's kind of breaking up a bit, but can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so in terms of your particular race, I just want to ask about your decision to go onto the hard tires for that safety car first one. Was that a glitch or just a purpose decision?
It was a glitch. I put it on the medium, same as Sander. Sander got the hard as well. I think it was a glitch with Red Bull. I checked my mediums, then I go in, and then I saw the hard tires. So,
well, with that in mind, do you believe without that happening, you would have been able to challenge for the win?
yeah, I think so. My pace on hards was really good, so on the mediums as well, and it was unfortunately.
Well, you've had a pretty topsy-turvy start to the season. You didn't score anything at Bahrain. You won at France, and then a podium here. But unless my maths is wrong, I do believe you are leading the championship now. So after 3 races, that's just about a quarter of the season gone. In that respect, you should be satisfied with that.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy. Of course, the 0 points in Bahrain is not that good, but I think I recovered pretty good with the second and this race. A bit sad about quali and the race with the glitch, but I think I get the most points out of it.
And of course, final words from you. Your next race, of course, is your home race at the Netherlands. So I assume you'll be practicing just a little bit more this week for that one.
Yeah, this week I practiced not really much because I was in Spa yesterday. So I have to practice a bit more next week, and I think it will be a good one. Previous race I did, me and Duncan drove really good race. It was a good battle.
Well, thank you very much, Juice, and congratulations on your 3rd place today.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're now going to bring in the man who finished in 2nd place, his 2nd podium of the season as well, his best result in F1. It is, we're going to drag in VRT Georges.
Well, this is VRT Georges, who finished in 2nd place here today, following up on his podium last week. Georges, well, a 2nd podium of the season, following on from your one at Bahrain, I should say. So 2 podiums to start the season, definitely putting you in contention for the championship at this early stage. You must be pretty delighted with that.
Yeah, it's I set myself a target at the start of the season to be constantly in the top five, but then France was just a messy one for myself. Like I didn't really showcase my true pace, but then today it slipped away. But I mean, as I started with a P3 in Bahrain, now the second podium is a P2, so hopefully the third one is a P1.
So late on the race, you were kind of on the last lap, you were a sitting duck because, without DRS, you have to end up using more ERS to sort of defend the positions behind. Realistically, once you sort of saw how the last stint was unfolding and you knew that Jordan wasn't really going to attack until at the very end, was there really anything realistically you could have done differently to defend that position, or did you sort of think, well, the game's up now because he's going to have more ERS because he's not had to use as much?
Maybe what I could have done is like in a sort of way make a mistake that would let him through, but I don't think that would be too sportsmanlike. But yeah, like the thing is with this track, it's really difficult to push. Like I really wasn't pushing, and I think you could see it from the guys behind. Like Jordan and I were just off the curbs trying not to get the penalty, whereas Blizzard, Jaquita, like they were pushing, they had penalties. So it was just a question of staying off the curb, staying like not making mistakes. And as you said, it made it difficult with the DRS because like you can't push, because if you push, there's a really high chance that you make a mistake. So I basically knew that he's gonna maybe attack the last two laps, but I didn't really know how much ERS. Like Kai told me actually that how much ERS he had, but I was getting good exits all the laps prior to the overtake. So maybe he used a bit more on the exits than before. So yeah, he caught me a bit by surprise, to be honest.
Well, next up for you is of course the Dutch Grand Prix next Monday. What's your impression of that track? Is that a track that you sort of see as a strong one for you?
Yes, on the last game, I really enjoyed driving it. I was like my best results came at this track. To be honest, I was really up there when I, for example, had a difficult season. Always I could have Zandvoort to count on to have a good result. So I'm really looking forward to this track. It's also like a question of qualifying, and then let's see how much the slipstream and DRS is going to be powerful there, because we run high downforce, so more dirty air there for the slipstream is really powerful. So hopefully we can have a good one, maybe a win, but I'm really looking forward for Zandvoort.
Well, thank you very much, Georges, and congratulations on your second podium of the season.
Thank you so much.
Now it's time, of course, for the race winner. First win of the season. He's won, of course, before at the Belgian Grand Prix a couple of seasons ago. It is VSR Jordan.
Well, VSR Jordan and Spa-Francorchamps, a tale as old as time. You've won here again. That must be a great feeling.
Well, apologies, I don't think we are actually able to hear Jordan at the moment. We'll give him a few minutes maybe to see if we can sort his audio out. What I'm sure he's absolutely delighted with how that race went. It's
speechless.
Strategy.
He was absolutely speechless. That is clear to see.
Yes, certainly.
Okay, let's try that again. Jordan, can you hear us? We had this issue with Duncan last week. It's kind of weird. It's always one driver. Strange.
Yeah, it seems like maybe they're deciding each week which one of them's deciding that they don't want to do the interviews.
Yeah. Commentary roulette or something like that. Well, we'll give him another minute or so, and then we may have to call it night. But it'd be nice to hear from the race winner after what was a superb victory for him tonight, for sure. And he is in the waiting room. Let's see if we can hear him again. Jordan, you are live on the air. Can you hear us and can you speak?
Loud and clear.
There you go. So let's do the line again. VSR Jordan, yourself and Spa-Francorchamps, a tale as old as time. You have won here again. That must be a great feeling for you.
Yeah, especially after a bit scrappy qualifying. I had some traffic on the last corner in the bus stop chicane, but nevertheless drove a pretty good race. I saw I think the two fastest guys on track Midnight and Blizzard, I saw them spun right in front of me in on radio. So that also helped a lot. But I think my race pace was fast enough to also win with those guys still driving there.
Yes, you were able to save ERS a little more easier than George's because he didn't have the benefit of DRS. So that was kind of the simple strategy. Were you always thinking about waiting until the last possible moment to overtake, so it gave George's no chance to come back at you?
Well, I was thinking to overtake, like I think it's around lap 18 when the guy in third came really close, the Haas. But no, I just knew that if I would drive like 3 or 4 laps in front, my ERS would be burning, even if I didn't put my overtake on. So it would be burning quite a lot. So I just had in mind the whole race to wait for the last lap, and worked out pretty well.
Absolutely, for sure. You're a reserve, of course, in PSGL F1 at the moment. But some say with performances like that, is it just a question of time that you can't do a full-time seat right now?
Well, of course, it's a bit of a shame that I'm reserved, but I understand. I understand why my times weren't just quick enough for a full-time seat. So yeah, it's a bit of a shame, but I get it. I get it.
Well, I think you would probably agree if you keep performing like that, and the powers that be might consider putting you in for a full-time seat, if not this season, then certainly for season 30.
Well, yeah, maybe season 30 is on PC, so I don't know yet.
Wow, that is interesting news indeed. Well, next race, of course, is at the Zandvoort circuit. So your impression of that particular circuit, is that one which plays to your strengths, like Belgium clearly does?
Well, I'm not that of a quali monster. What I call people who go really fast in quali. I'm not like that kind of person. So, and of course, quali is very important at Zandvoort. So, well, I think if I can get the lap in, it's all right. But I'm going to the GP in real life, so
Very nice.
I also don't have a lot of time to practice because of that, but we'll make the most out of it.
Well, you'll be able to scout out the track better than most on that basis, so I hope you have a good time. And hopefully, unlike the race we just saw in real life yesterday, you actually get to see some racing. So I wish you all the best for that. And yeah, thanks for your words tonight. And once again, massive congratulations on your victory at Spa tonight.
Thank you for commentating and the stream. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks to Jordan. Thanks to Mark, obviously, for doing the interviews, and thanks to Jordan, Joost, and Georges for taking part of them. That is pretty much it then for this stream for what was a very exciting Belgian Grand Prix. Plenty of overtaking. Perhaps Zandvoort, it will still be an exciting race, but overtaking there a bit more of a premium. Turn 1, that DRS zone, really the only realistic opportunity.
Yeah, it's going to be. It is it's a very similar track in some ways to Hungary. I always see Zandvoort as like the more exciting version of Hungary. But then again, we saw an incredible race at Hungary this year. So who knows? We could get an awesome race there after a long absence for the Dutch Grand Prix from the calendar, mainly due to the rise of Max Verstappen that we're seeing it. So I think in real life and in PSGL F1, I think the races will be, personally, in my opinion, more exciting than we expect.
Yeah, certainly. We've had 3 different winners this season.
Unbelievable.
Can we get a 4th next time out? And can anyone stop Blizzard in qualifying?
Well, I mean, Blizzard is absolutely on fire in qualifying at the moment. I mean, he is, it's obviously not. I guess in qualifying we can call him the Mr. Monday, as George Russell is the Mr. Saturday at the moment, because he's just got that extra, level in qualifying compared to the rest of the field at the moment. So he'll be the heavy favorite to be qualifying, but he'll be highly frustrated that, he could take it on the chin at France last week because France, it was really the strategy that went against him in terms of the rain coming when it did. But today he definitely had an opportunity to take command of the championship. But then unforced error at El Rouge and Radion, it's an iconic corner. But the very best drivers in PSGL F1 history have been caught out there over the years, and Blizzard was the latest example of that. But he's got more than enough quality to bounce back next week.
Yeah, definitely strange to see a driver with as much experience as Blizzard making that mistake. Will he be able to bounce back? Round 4 of the season next week, the Dutch Grand Prix, and you'll be able to see the first Dutch Grand Prix action, as always, on PSGL on the Wednesday, with Tier 3 and Tier 2 on the PC, for George Morgan and Jack Canaan take us through the action on Thursday. In the top tier of the PC, will Jarno Opmeer be able to claim a victory at his home race? You'll also have the lower PS tiers on the Thursday, mid tiers on the Sunday, before the top 8 tiers on the Monday, and myself and Mark bringing you the action at 8 p.m. Once again, thank you so much to all the drivers for racing and providing such fantastic action and joining us in the interviews. Thanks to Mark for joining us in the commentary box, and thank you so much to everyone that has watched. I don't think I've ever seen the chat as active for definitely any of the PS streams that I've done, so really do appreciate it. And I hope you can all join us next time out, same time, same place, for the Dutch Grand Prix. Will we get our 4th different winner of the season, or will we get a repeat winner and perhaps see a bit more of a pattern occurring in this year's PSGL F1 Championship on the PlayStation? You'll have to tune in again to find out. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.